looking through the list and then being able to honestly talk to kids who are going through, man, maybe one, maybe 7 things on this list and go, we're all doing it. Like, you're not alone in this, was huge.
Hey everybody, it is James back at the Trout Lake Camp's world famous podcast studio. And we are on week 10, episode 33. And I have today actually 2 special guests for our interview. I have my daughter, Courtney.
Hi, guys.
That we're going to talk about Sinless, that she picked it up here and started messing with it here a couple weeks ago. And we should introduce you to
grandbaby number 1.
Grandbaby. This is Loretta, and she wants to talk in the microphone, I think, a little bit.
You good talk?
Maybe not.
Not right now.
And, but yeah, and so Courtney came by today so that we could talk about Sinless a little bit. And what I wanted to do, Courtney, is you and I have, we should kind of explain going back. You've lived at camp your whole life.
My whole life. It's like growing up at Disney World with responsibilities.
Yep. And so for the most part, when you were a camp kid, you ran around camp mostly with horses.
Yeah. Yep.
And you were involved in skits or program of things or
My whole
silly
life.
stuff. When I would speak at camp here or other places, you would often follow me to those places and kind of hang out. So you have heard Soldier, Farmer, Athlete a bunch of times.
My favorite, yep.
You've heard Mortification a bunch of times and kind of been around that.
Yep.
But what I wanted to do to bring you in here today is that you also are kind of taking up speaking. And you've spoke at our District Blitz conference with 3,000 kids at it.
Couple times now.
Stuff like that. And in your high school
youth
days.
groups and stuff,
Yep. In your high school days, you were actually rated nationally in the speeching realm.
Speech and debate. So the National Speech Association.
Yep. You're like number 2, right?
I was number 2 in the country.
For pros, right?
Yep.
All right. Which is awesome.
Number 1 in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah there you go. But so what I wanted to talk about a little bit in maybe give a little bit of perspective. One of the things about Sinless is that I don't think it's anything new under the sun. It might be a different way in that we're trying to exercise or think about it or work it through a little bit differently. But I think the Bible's always called us to not sin. But I had a curiosity with you because we speak together quite a bit at father-daughter retreats and stuff like that. Family camps. When a speaker goes up to speak and they're trying to convince the audience to follow this new idea, can you speak on a speaker's behalf and say, this is what we're thinking about. This is what we're trying to get across. This is what we're trying to do. Because I think the average listener might be fairly oblivious to how much work a speaker's doing to try to get somebody to do a life change.
Oh, man. It's such a hard thing, and especially going up in front of kids today has been one of the greatest things in the world, but it's so difficult. And I pray every time before I go on stage. I don't know if you do this. Every time before I go on stage, I pray and I'm like, God, if nothing else, just use me as your mouthpiece. If all of my humanness falls flat, you can do something through it. And I found myself lately. Hannah, our Timber Ridge program staff member can attest to this. I have changed what I'm speaking on multiple times before I actually speak now. And part of it's because when you go out and you get to hang out with the kids and you get to talk to the kids, you're learning what they want to hear from you right before you go up and speak. And so it's more genuine when you change it for them than when you just go up and you say the script that you've said a million times.
And that's an interesting part too, because there's some speakers, like I think you and I have done more speaking where we bring, this is the package that we bring, whether it's with me, Soldier, Farmer, Athlete, or Mortification, whether it's you.
Cadbury.
You've got variations of stories and stuff that you do. Cadbury's our rabbit. So that's a story she's talking about. And then when you're looking out into the audience and you're trying to convince them to understand or to jump onto or grab a hold of this teaching, what do you envision there?
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
When I look out into any audience, it's really, I have the teacher perspective too. So I teach elementary, kindergarten through 6th grade STEAM. And so when I start to notice the kids' eyes glare over like I do in my classroom, it's really interesting because you're not only thinking about how to get the scripture into them. You're just trying to get them to focus for that amount of time. Yep. And so it's really fun because I've picked up your habit. I don't know if you know that you do this, but every now and again when you're speaking, you just go, ah, really loud. And so I've gotten pretty good at following and doing that too. But the hardest thing is, when I speak, I bring passages of scripture into it. It's one of my favorite things. I learned it from you. And what's really cool is nowadays, whether they're reading it from their physical Bible or whether it's what you put on the screens, my personal stories that I add into it almost drives their passion to get into this book. And so when I'm scanning the crowd, what I'm looking for is their Bible in front of them. I don't care if they listen to my story. I don't care if they're following every word that I say, but I do really care when I look out and if they're in this. Yep. So I've started doing Bible calls where I have them hold up their Bible and I rate their Bibles on how prettier it is or whatever, so that they're actively trying to be in it and with it.
And that's something that we've seen in the high school kids, the junior high kids recently, is that, man, they're really wanting to use their Bible. They're so really wanting to open the word. They're really wanting to get involved with that, which has been really a great thing going on in youth ministry right now and stuff like that. Now, let's talk about sinless for a minute. So you've been starting to count the sins and kind of figure out, you and I had a little bit of a conversation, but you had one. Yep, you said something was a surprise.
So I spoke at camp last week, and so what took me by utter surprise was the fact that counting these before I went up to speak started being a huge impact on the way that I felt about talking to the kids, especially on Salvation Night and the day after when I was going through Ephesians and Corinthians and how Paul wants his followers back then in those churches to act and how he wanted them to appear in front of society back then. And I would go through and I'd be like, wow, I got 5 marks off on my list today. And so when I'm talking in front of those kids, it's genuinely, man, number one, pride. I lost that today. You can mark that off. I fell short. Or sloth. Man, becoming a new mom, all I want to do is lay on the couch with my baby all day. It's all I want to do. Yep. Man, another mark missed. Yep. And so looking through the list and then being able to honestly talk to kids who are going through, man, maybe 1, maybe 7 things on this list and go, we're all doing it. You're not alone in this, was huge.
And that's one of the things about your pastor, one of the things about your youth pastor, or the guy that runs the ministry, your college group, or whatever it is. One of the things that's hard is there are these spiritual leaders that have these, should be held to a higher standard. Paul says specifically, you get this higher standard.
The scariest verse, yeah.
Yeah, it's just what does that mean? Could you describe a little bit more there?
A little bit more.
What is that? What could you help me understand? But at the same time, everybody's human and everybody makes mistakes. It's one of the things that I've had a couple conversations in doing Sinless is that people ask me what we're doing and how we're doing it. They're like, well, what about you? And what about and it's just like, well, I'm just a normal person like everybody else.
Yep.
And so that's that weird thing because you go on stage and you call people to change or you call people to a salvation message or going back to originally you were there when that dad came up to me at the end of us doing we were doing a father-daughter event.
Yes.
Yep. And I took the dads.
And I took the girls.
And you took the girls. And we both did a sin talk.
Yep.
But then that dad came up to me afterwards and said, hey, you didn't tell me enough. You didn't tell me what to do. You didn't tell me exactly. And it's like you get kind of sad about it. You're like, oh no, what did I do wrong?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. But this plan, it feels to me more like it's just we're putting the information out and then people can respond to it.
And the hope is, like you say, we talked about, that they're grabbing onto it on their own. Mm-hmm. There's only so much that we can do from the front of the room. Yep. The rest of it has to come from God calling you to reach out and pick it up and actually use it, like your stones. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully they're picking it up and using it.
Yep. Cool. Well, I just wanted to touch base here. Is it hard? Is it hard being the daughter of a person that does camp ministry for a living or does speaking on the side or has that been a difficulty for you?
No, it's been helping me actually run my race, I think. 2 Timothy 4:7, as you know, is my favorite verse. Mm-hmm. Think about it all the time. And so having you kind of lead the way for that just helps me want to drive forward more. I truly think I picked up speaking because of how much I loved watching you do it. I truly think that I'm still in camping, and I brought my husband into camping because of the love that I've seen you and Mom carry forward into this. And so just like going through this now, you're leading the drive and I'm right on your tail.
Cool.
You better watch out.
Well, and we've always had fun doing ministry together and coming together and doing these different pieces and going off and speaking and stuff like that. That's always been a fun part of what we do anyway.
And we don't do it enough.
Yeah, we could always do it more. But all right, well, that is this episode. Hope you enjoyed meeting Courtney, who's nothing but trouble, and I hope you also enjoyed meeting Loretta, who will be nothing but trouble soon.
Oh yeah, she's gonna get there.
And we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye guys.